So my first question to you is, what goes into the making of a dynamic higher education institute?
Yeah, so what goes into making of a dynamic higher education institute is firstly valuing your students. At the center of everything that you do has to be the value that you give to students in terms of learning, exposure, and learning exposure doesn't mean only what you do in classroom, but everything, the in-campus experience, the student cohort you bring in, the principles that you espouse and the principles and the rules that you practice, all of them combined put together.
So let me know, how your institute is investing in skilling so that the students are well equipped with the latest industry challenges.
Right. So how do we make sure that we are relevant to industry? What we do is, for every program we have a board of studies. And when we are doing a curriculum review, we take inputs like a 360-degree input. So inputs come in from our recruiters, inputs come in from an alumni, from our existing students, from our faculty, as well as from people from outside. For the students, so this is basically curriculum that is for the students, right? So that what we are doing on campus is something that makes a difference to what is needed as far as the industry is concerned, right? So this is one part. The second part is we collaborate with a lot of different partners to make sure that there is industry centricity. So we have a lot of people who will come and do specific skill set, like let's say Six Sigma for people who are in production operation management, on digital and AI for someone who's in marketing, fintech, Bloomberg, all of this for people who are in finance. So that's what we do, and as a result, for the last 20 years, we have 100% placement, good salaries, and recruitment across industry segments.
So how do you see taking forward the multidisciplinary approach of NEP? Just this side. I'm just. Yeah, I'm just. Yeah, no, it's okay.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
It's okay, sir. So I wanted to ask you, how are you taking forward the multidisciplinary approach, in consideration to NEP?
Yeah, so it is a lot more difficult for a specific graduate school like a business school. But it's extremely important we realize that for a student, not just to understand business, the good part is business itself is multidisciplinary. So you will have economics, law, communication, humanities, all of this part of the business school. But in addition to that, it's important for us that our students learn about science, technology, engineering, as well as have a liberal arts kind of an approach. And therefore, we've introduced something that we call internally as global electives, which are open electives on things like, so last year we had one on the science of innovation. So like that we had one on, music and management. And therefore we are able to bring in things that weren't earlier there already in our, multidisciplinary curriculum.
So at last, I would like to know that how entrepreneurial spirit, can be cultivated among the students for the betterment of the India.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to cultivate entrepreneurship spirit. It's very difficult because people who've been the most successful entrepreneurs are people whose backs were pushed against the wall. So people who didn't have much of options, they had no choice but to become entrepreneurs. People who come to business school are people who are going to have great career options, and it was difficult for them to get that stay hungry, stay foolish. That is very difficult for you to get in them. However, establishing an incubation center on campus, having research done and therefore feeding on what works well for entrepreneurs, having various kind of startup founders coming on board and talking to students so they're able to inspire them. I think these are a variety of things. So we were in the first cohort of 13 Atal incubation centers, and as a result what happens is you have I think something like 24 startups who are always present on campus. That inspires students, give them opportunities to do things like internships, test their ideas out, meet mentors when they come in, meet investors. I think all of that put together.
Thank you so much for being here, sir.